Welcome back to another edition of the AUDL Take. Another update from the AUDL has arrived, and it is about the season at hand. It's been postponed, it's been delayed. We've talked about so many different versions of what they might possibly do to have a season this year, and we finally have pretty much the most put together, most thought out concept that they've come to now at this point. It's now planning to be August 8th through the 16th. They will have a bubble tournament. It was kind of what I thought would be the most likely thing to happen, and here we are. And it's kind of coming at a time now where a lot of these cases now with the beer bug going around, it's kind of starting to spike again. We're getting a little worried about, is this thing really going away? Or are we going to have to deal with it longer? When's the vaccine? All this kind of stuff going on. But the AUDL, I think, is doing the right thing right now. They're still planning their league. It's their job to still put on something. Now, do they have to do it? No, but I think them trying as hard as they can to work with public officials and put on something, I think is a reflection of how well they're running this league. They're treating it like they would any other league. You have to be working and at least put something together in case something does clear up or some type of drug or some type of therapy works, and that they can go ahead and hit the ground running. So let's kind of talk about the update real quick. And basically what we're seeing is there's going to be testing of a lot of people. If you choose to do this event for a week, you're going to fly to Grant Park, I believe it's Indianapolis, and or Indiana, and they'll be going and playing in that area. And there's a lot of work with the league and public officials to make sure that testing is done before they arrive or as they arrive there, and testing throughout the week. I believe people are going to have not their own hotel room, but they'll share it with one other person. But there's going to be a lot of social distancing while they're there, trying to encourage players not to get together and party or go out in public and go to bars or anything like that. The idea is to put on this event, keep everyone as healthy as possible, including staff. You're going to make sure that only the teams that are playing at the moment will be in the facility. They're not going to try to have people hovering around about and giving more opportunity for this disease to spread. So I think for the AUDL to work with public officials, they're also working with hospitals nearby for the testing. I think that's really important to do. Now, they're keeping the game the same, but they also talked about how they're going to use this event as a way to investigate, and this is kind of their words, investigate different avenues of social justice that organizations and teams may want to help donate to. So break down to the winner of this tournament. Usually we would have a league champion, the AUDL league champion, but because this is a tournament style and not necessarily the season, I feel like this was a smart decision by the AUDL to not make this a league championship event. There's going to be no league champion in 2020, but there will be a tournament champion, and usually the prize pool money would go to the players. I believe this event they're going to donate to whatever social justice cause that the teams themselves or maybe the individuals, something that they've all come to an agreement with. The prize pool money will go to that. So I think it kind of encompasses everything we're talking about right now in the world. Should we be going back to sports, especially during these intense events that we're dealing with as a nation, really in the world, about police brutality and the militarization of our police force, all that. Should we be even putting on an event? Well, I think in this case, this is not till August, so we still have some time to see what happens here with the beer bug. But I think this is something that they have to do, and I think it's the right thing to do. It's a noble thing to do. Put on an event, use Ultimate as a way to showcase or highlight what's going on in the world with social justice. And what we need to be doing is, yes, talking about Black lives, talking about how police we need to reform or possibly defund the police. These are all things that need to be talked about and have discussions. And I think the AUDL, using their platform, using what they have designed, they are a Frisbee league, they're going to use Ultimate as a vessel for people to be entertained by that, but also talk about these serious issues. So I really commend them. I think this is one of the best plans I've seen laid out from any league. I mean, every sports league's trying to find a way back. This one is done very well. I think in the end, though, it's going to be up to the players to make the decision. It does sound like a lot. I think a week of constantly being tested and monitored and just worrying constantly about possibly getting sick, is that truly worth it? Is there other ways to go about this for the AUDL? I'm sure there are, but I think for them to try to put on an event, come out with clear guidelines. We saw kind of what the USAU did. I talked about that a week ago. It was a little more hilarious in the sense that they were changing the sport itself. But here the AUDL is just saying, no, we're going to play the AUDL game of Ultimate, but we're going to try to make sure that everyone around and everyone who's there is as healthy as possible. So we're going to see what happens. I don't think at this moment most of the players are going to still do this, but I think it was really smart for the AUDL to have a plan and now wait to see how the players and organizers and teams as well think about it, and it's still a ways away. It's a month or so away, so we're going to see as we get closer to the date whether people are really going to commit to this or not. I do want to spend some time on the backlash we're seeing about the AUDL putting on this event, and really when the AUDL does anything, there's pretty much always a backlash. I'm kind of disappointed in it. I think you're seeing a lot of kind of bullying and name calling associated with it. There really isn't an attempt to use this event in a way that may appease other people. It's really just kind of being smeared, and you can already tell that people are going after some people, being like, if you go to this event, you're endangering people's lives. How dare you? All these kinds of stuff. I feel a little saddened by it because I think this is a great opportunity for diversity initiatives, gender equity, all these things that have been kind of at a crossroads or at a crosshair, or putting crosshairs on the AUDL. This is a great opportunity to use this event to push kind of what you think is important. They're investigating. It's kind of what the AUDL is saying about trying to make this event highlight and bring up front in conversation all these social justice things that we need to be talking about, especially right now with police brutality. So I wish there was more of a respect for what's going on here. You just see a lot of people immediately going to smearing and calling people names. It's unfortunate because it does seem like it's a lot of rules for thee, not for me. I'm not trying to say that the people who went and protested were inherently putting people at risk, but you have to accept the fact that that's true. I believe that the people who went and protested the right thing. It's not something that I was even against even a little. I think everyone should have the right to protest, and especially with police brutality, it is something that's very important. But to say that you weren't putting anybody at risk with the beer bug would be kind of irresponsible to say. I think you were still putting people at risk. And so if you're going to use that argument on this event because you believe that that one was more morally righteous than this one, I think you're missing the point. They're still doing the same thing. It's just you don't like the way that they are going about it. And I think that's fine to state. You don't have to agree with this, but I think you're showing kind of a hypocrisy that's pretty obvious. I don't think the AUDL is trying to do this recklessly. I mean, if you look at the protesters who went, they just went. There was no testing constantly and making sure everybody was keeping distant. But I'm not here to criticize one or the other. I just wish there would be some mutual respect. Once again, I respected the individuals who went out and believed that they were doing something for good. And I'm not going to criticize them. They know the risks. Just like this event, I think the people who end up doing the AUDL event are probably going to be doing it because they believe that they can do something good for it. It's not just going to be about Ultimate. There's going to be a very good chance, and I'm hoping that these groups, the people who are kind of mocking it right now, would actually look at this as an opportunity to get what they think, the messages they need to be heard, or they think should be heard. Here it is. Use this as the vessel. I believe if the AUDL was just putting on an event and they weren't highlighting or talking about these social issues, I think there'd be more of a reason to really not like this event. But I think this groups, and I think all of us as a whole, are missing a great opportunity to use Ultimate in a way that can also push an agenda in the sense of get the conversation started about these social problems. We have racism to deal with, sexism to deal with. There's so much in this world with police brutality. There's so many issues, and I just don't think that there's one way to solve it. I think protests are a huge way to make change, a great avenue for people, but not everybody may be into that kind of way of changing the world. Sometimes just simply putting on a sporting event and highlighting these issues can be just as effective for some people. So like I said, I'm not really mad at either group. I just don't like the name calling that we're seeing it thrown around. It immediately went to it. There was no real conversation of how can we make this event the best possible. It's immediately name calling, bullying, kind of pressuring into people to not do this because we've said so. So that's kind of my beef with it. I think all of these criticisms of it are actually very warranted. I love hearing critical analysis of why or why not we should do the AUDL. So please let me know what you think in the comments down below. I'm really excited to see an event like this, but I am kind of feel like it's highly unlikely that there's going to be enough people to actually do it, but we will see. So let me know what you think in the comments down below. If you enjoyed this video, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button so you can learn more about what I'm thinking about in the AUDL and Ultimate in a whole. I'm starting to expand a little bit beyond the AUDL, but I still try to keep this my main focus. But thanks again for tuning in. I will see you all next week.